This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Planet MicroCap Showcase 2017 at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. With me is Nick Blitterswyk of UGE International. It's a publicly traded company. I'm going to give you two symbols, UGE on the TSX-V and UGEIF in the U.S. Nick, welcome to SNNLive. Welcome back to SNNLive.
That's right. No, thanks so much, Shelley. Great to see you again.
It's good to have you. How's the conference been for you?
It's been fantastic. It really has. No, thanks so much for hosting it, and yourself and Lulu and Bobby have done a great job here. So, no, thanks so much.
Well, thank you. Let's get started with an overview of the company, and then we'll get some updates in.
Yeah, so as a reminder, so UGE is a leading company in the commercial solar field. So, the value proposition we offer our customers, which are really businesses from the US and Canada mostly, is a cheaper source of energy from solar. So, they don't need to put any money down up front. We take care of all the hard work, and they just purchase cheaper energy after the system is done. So we're dual headquartered in New York and Toronto, the leader in Canada, and one of the top companies in the US now as well.
So, your opinion on solar energy has taken you and your company to where you are today. Do you feel the same way today as when you started? And where's your future incentive going to take you?
Yeah, no, great question. So, I was actually speaking about this earlier today with in one of the meetings. The projections that people had for 2025, 2030 are being hit right now. Like, that's how far we are ahead of where people expected. And because of that, like, solar's just become very, very economical. And it's actually a secret that most people don't seem to realize yet, that solar is now cheaper than the grid in the markets that we serve, and in a growing number of markets all the time. So in terms of how that changes my perception going forward, is that solar is going to be the #1 source of energy that we rely on by about 2030. Within the next 13 years, I think solar will just become commonplace in terms of what we rely on for energy.
Well, one of the things that held back the growth of solar was the cost of goods.
Yeah.
I think subjectively speaking, I think one of the reasons why solar is additionally accepted is because those costs have come down, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, if economics aside, solar works really well. It's, no moving parts, it just generates energy. So from that perspective, solar is a great source of energy. When we started the company, which was about 2009, we first purchased solar panels for about $4 per watt. Now we're paying 34 cents per watt. So solar has fallen more than 90% in terms of cost in the last 8 years or so, making it very economical. And it's something that a lot of people don't realize just yet.
What are the differentiating factors between your company and success and your competition?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is that we're really, really good at executing on projects, deployment, etc. So across the organization, we've really built ourselves over the last little bit here to we have a great executive team who have a lot of experience, and so when we win projects, we execute on those projects. We convert our backlog into revenue, and I think in this young field that's not always the case. So I think that's the first thing, and then I think more broadly is as a company we do everything from the marketing and sales and development all the way through to building the project. And so we have that very strong turnkey platform, and that sets us apart from a lot of our competition as well, who might just do part of it well, but not the whole thing, and also allows us to offer better service to our customers, and also better economics as well by bringing it all together.
I'm going to say a word, just one word, and when I say that word, I want you to give me your thoughts and impressions of what that word means to you. Okay. And the word is storage.
Storage. I guess potential maybe is the word I'd say back. I think in terms of where storage is now, it's talked about a lot. There's quite a bit of excitement around storage. It has a ways to go economically, but the way that the speed of which things are changing, we're talking about, by the end of this decade, which is only 3 years away, that we see storage starting to play a pretty important role in what we do. So we actually have 2 portfolios right now in the engineering phase. The installation will start this year that are solar plus battery storage, and I think thinking big picture here, we have all businesses consumers alike been price takers for all of our life, right? Like we've just been purchasing energy from the grid. And the thing about storage, which makes me think potential, is that it really changes the equation. Now we can choose when we use energy from where, and the power really shifts back to the user.
So now let's get into UGE a little bit. Let's talk about some events that have taken place recently over the course of the last several months, and then we'll go into, what's happened really recently, okay, if you would.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, we last saw each other in December, and at that point in time, we had just released our Q3s. And our Q3s, in that quarter, we had sold off a non-core asset. We'd really strengthened the balance sheet, and our backlog had grown quite considerably. Since then, first, in late January, we pre-released our Q4s, and that showed, it was our best revenue quarter ever. We showed a backlog of about 35 million US, or about 46 Canadian. That compares to about 8 Canadian in revenue for last year. So, 5 and a half times, I guess, our revenue from last year. And that typically is deployed over 12 to 18 months. So you take the long end of that, and we're talking about, 32 Canadian for this year. So that's the kind of the shorter term. And then more recently, we just acquired our biggest competitor in Canada. So that closed a few weeks back. And that adds about another 10 million to the top line this year, and really, strengthens what we're trying to do.
So from a marketing standpoint, that also helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that, you add those numbers together and you say, okay, UGE is growing 5 times this year, and we've talked before about being cash flow positive since the fall. It helps. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of we're really going places, and I think people have started to take notice.
Well, it's also deployment of capital in the right methodology of growing the company both organically and through acquisition.
Yeah, no, I mean, so this year our organic growth was looking at about 4x based on those numbers we talked about, and adding another X, if you will, on the inorganic side through the acquisition as well.
So the acquisition is really recent, isn't it?
Yeah, it closed April 3rd. It was just the right fit. We picked it up. We actually picked it up in early March, and in 3.5 weeks, we had it fully closed, funded, etc. We actually, through all the work we've done as a company, we actually, used part of our cash off our balance sheet to close it, and a working capital line for some working capital that was to do with the project. So, really proud of how the team came together to get that done.
Nick, where does future expansion come from?
Yeah, right now, our 3 offices, we have Toronto and New York as 85%, or offices representing 85% of our revenue in North America. And we have a small team in the Philippines as well, which has started to ramp up. We closed actually a nice portfolio in the Philippines in April as well.
So, Nick, where does the future growth of the company come from?
Yeah, well, right now we're very strong in Canada and the Northeast U.S. The rest of Canada is just starting to bubble up, so we see ourselves using that position in Canada to expand across the country. And then also in the Northeast U.S., I mean, we're predominantly in New York, New Jersey, and to a degree Connecticut. There's a lot of other states, so I think we'll see ourselves grow in the Northeast U.S. here in the short term as well. And
then I'm going to ask you to come on out to California.
Maybe in time. Yeah, I think, I'm a big fan of grow where you're planted. So we're going to continue to stretch out from where we are, and hopefully we'll see you out here one day.
Nick, let's get your website out there for our investor audience, if you would.
Sure. So sounds good. So thanks, Shelley. It's UGEI.com, so UGE International. And thanks so much for having us on. My
pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Blitterswyk, UGE International. It's a publicly traded company. I'm going to give you 2 symbols, UGE on the TSX-V and UGEIF in the U.S. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live on Planet MicroCap Showcase 2017 at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. Nick, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks, Shelley.
And thanks for coming to the conference.
Our pleasure.